Welcome into the Bobby Carpenter Show here on this Tuesday, I believe the 28th of October. And listen, we're coming in here. These games are coming at you thick and fast. Schlegs, Buckeyes coming bye week. Obviously, a lot of tough news from Buckeye Nation. But we're going to start off the show with our guy, Mr. Bill Bender. He's going to be joining us here, Schlegs, right from Jump Street, one of the best, as we know. And on the heels now, Bill, it seems like every weekend, a new big-time coaching opening seems to creep on out. And is this being week 8, week 9, whatever it is, you count week 0. But is this as many big-time jobs open at this point in the year as you ever remember?
I mean, we're up to 8. And every Sunday, it seems like it's this tradition of, okay, who's next? We had James Franklin on the 12th. There was a ripple effect from that. Florida with Billy Napier the following week. And then last night, obviously, Brian Kelly. So my question is starting to become, okay, if college football is like the NFL, it's not going to work because college football fans are way more emotional on a Saturday to Saturday basis. And we were talking before I came on, and just look at that LSU Texas A&M game. It went from LSU was leading at halftime to your coach is fired after a second half meltdown at home. And I just don't know that, even though NFL coaches get fired all the time, which one would you rather coach? And number 2, which one has more stability? And I can't believe I'm saying this, with the roster turnover, an NFL program, in quotes, might be easier to build.
So now you got me thinking. So you said 2 things in there, and I'm actually going to run something by both of you guys after this. So who is next then, Richard? Who is the next one?
Well,
I mean, we haven't seen this since 2021, where there was this huge coaching carousel, right?
Yeah.
And I was part of it when Urban went to the Jaguars. But who is the next one?
Well, I mean,
or potentials.
What happens with Auburn and Hugh Freeze if they continue to lose? And now you have, but it's not just, now you have like a guy like Brian Kelly on the board, so to speak. And James Franklin is on the board if they want to coach. Yep. To me, a couple things from last night that triggered in my head was, one, okay, if Auburn moves on, would Brian Kelly want to stay in the SEC? Still a high profile job. They've won a national championship. They played for another national championship in 2013. Or is that the move for Penn State if Curt Cignetti, who is off the board because of the contract extension, and Matt Rule says, you know what, I want to stay at Nebraska? I think Penn State has to take a home run swing. And it really comes down to whether Brian Kelly wants to, A, coach again at 64, or B, live off what is a hefty buyout at LSU.
I guess what you said there, Schlegs, I think, Bill, the question I have, are these firings driving, is one driving the next? When you see, obviously, Penn State come open, and then Florida, and, obviously some of the things that happened earlier in the year with Virginia Tech and UCLA, but it seems people are looking around, they're thinking, okay, well, the other fan bases can't stand, ours can't either. And, I mean, in Louisiana, you got the governor involved. They don't even have a president, which always kind of muddies these decisions. You're going to hire your head coach if you don't have a president in place, and what's the timeline look, for all of that. But it seems like they're almost kind of driving one another as we continue to see this happen week after week.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned the governor. As I was sitting there last night, as that was starting to develop, I told my wife, Kimberly, I said, hey, they've got a bunch of boosters, and the governor of Louisiana is involved. So what odds do you think Brian Kelly has a job tomorrow? Anytime you have the governor in the room, it's serious. So, yeah, I think the buyout part of this is really interesting because that's what we see as fans. Now, the fans might not care of that particular fan base, but the ripple effects of all that money, you don't hear about a $50 million buyout for the Tennessee Titans coach. So I do think it makes it tough. The expectations at LSU are probably comparable to Ohio State for coaches in terms of 3 of the last 4 guys that have coached LSU have won a national championship. The last 3 coaches for Ohio State have won a national championship. And the guy that inherits Ryan Day's job someday, whenever that is, he's going to be expected to win a national championship, just like whoever takes this LSU job.
Yeah, so really what you're saying, and Bob, that was a follow-up, is really does you no good to fire a coach early, right? Because they're all these guys are coming onto the board, and you can keep it kind of close to the vest, and you can kind of work the back channels. Here's what I'm going to go to. Here's what I do not like about this entire situation is one, the impact on those kids' senior year season. Two, the meddling. All right, so from coaches, right? Whether it's coordinators, aka could be Matt Patricia, could be Brian Hartline, could be whoever high profile coordinator that's out there in the midst of an 8-0 season, or Vandy that's 7-1, and they're coaching these opportunities and kind of this speed dating that can go on in back channels. We don't want that also for our athletes, right? And the recruitment side. Here's what I'm proposing to you, and I want to hear both your takes. Now, because we got this portal in January, which I don't like because it's still going on in the college football playoff, there should be no coach meddling, nor no player meddling. It should be done like the NFL. You can't talk to anybody that's on the market while they're in the midst of a season. And then you have the portal in May. It's kind of going that way, in my honest opinion. Your thoughts, both you men.
Yeah, I'll go first. I mean, I totally agree. It should be that portal should be treated like a free agency of sorts. It doesn't interfere with the playoff. I thought one of the things that got me last year, and he's gone on to have success, but Bo Pribula transferred from Penn State during a playoff run, and had Drew Aller got hurt, that would have impacted the playoff a great deal. I don't like that. Can you imagine? You see the Packers helmet, Malik Willis going in free agency before the Packers play a divisional playoff game. It just doesn't make sense. The coach meddling, absolutely, because it can tear through a locker room, and you got to feel for the seniors in this case because they're trying to close out their college football careers, and that, which brings me to Penn State as they try to finish out this season. Their last kind of high water moment coming Saturday at Ohio Stadium. You wonder what kind of fight they'll show coming off a bye week. But it's got to be tough when your coach leaves. When they leave and when they're fired, that's a little bit of a different story. I think you understand the business decision of it. But, and to your point, why should a college athlete be getting texts and offers in the middle of a season to go somewhere else? It just kills the idea of team building, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's pretty wild because, like you said, you're trying to figure all that out, and there's tearing people away here. It's all October, November, and there's still a lot of season ultimately left to play. Bill, we talk about this, these jobs open up, and everybody was saying, is Florida State the next job? And looking at some of the other ones there, LSU was kind of out there, but not maybe in the same way that we thought it could be possible. Now that it's on the board there with Penn State and Florida, handicap those three jobs, rank those three jobs for me.
Well, LSU and Penn State in the college football playoff era are separated by half a game in the win-loss column. LSU's a half game better, but they do get top 10 recruiting classes every year. And I think, obviously you're on with Jacob Hester all the time. He had a tweet last night that really resonated with me about they've got to find somebody that loves LSU and fits. And I think if they find that coach and you combine that with the talent that they have, that is the best job, with the built-in home field advantage when it's right, Saturday night notwithstanding. That's a program that has proven it can win national championships with multiple coaches, and I think it's the best job. I would still say Penn State's second, based on the NFL development, the recruiting, the fact that they've shown that they can be a top 3 team in the Big Ten in an environment where at least 3 teams in the Big Ten are going to get in the playoff every year, that if you do it right there, you're going to be fine. The wrong coach at Penn State, however, it could turn into 7-5 and 8-4 real fast. I think that's the danger. That's why that hire is so critical for them. And then Florida's third. They have the potential with the talent down there, no question. I just think in this SEC grinder, they've been so far removed from that Urban Meyer era that whoever comes in, they're going to have a lot to prove.
Yeah, it's really interesting with that because, speaking to the Orlando Touchdown Club, and they think Florida's a great job, and I think that it is. Bill, we talked about all the attributes last week, but then they've had all these coaches that haven't won where, Nick Saban, obviously, world renowned coach. Les Miles and Ed Orgeron, I don't know if either one of those guys are setting the world on fire with their football acumen, their football guys, but as far as their X's and O's and different things, and maybe their creativity, especially on the offensive side. Now they had obviously Joe Brady there, but like they were just able to plug and play coaches and able to win titles. And it's interesting that Brian Kelly, with all of his, because I think he is a very smart football coach. And I guess the fit, we always talk about people just going places, Bill. I mean, it seems like the fit now matters in some of these places now more than ever.
I agree. And Brian Kelly, I think he's a hell of a football coach for starters. I do. I think, the track record that he had at Notre Dame and where Notre Dame was before he got there, and just the winning 10 or more games there, pushing them into the playoff, into the championship game, going down. I mean, LSU was 34-14. It's not like he was terrible. He was 4-5 against top 10 teams. It's just that they didn't, the fit part, the viral stuff that really went on. I did get a pretty good laugh out of Ben Stevens. I know he comes on the show when he tweeted, Brian Kelly's interview at UCLA, and it was some surfer dude right out of Point Break. It was that was the best thing I saw all weekend. So, but he does win football games. And I think at a place like LSU where that culture's so huge, they were rallying around Ed Orgeron. And if you win football games, where you're from matters less. But if you're at a place like that, it does matter. Like we've talked about it at Ohio State. It mattered. I think Ryan Day, at first we were kind of like, well, he's not from Ohio. Well, he's proven that if you win enough football games and win at the clip that he's winning, that can go out the door a little bit.
Yeah, the dude's been coaching for a long time. And Grand Valley has won 118 games. Central Michigan, Cincinnati had a great run, then took the Notre Dame job and went to LSU. But you guys are right, man. It's the fits. We were talking about the league. It's fits and opportunities, and it's the same thing in these states, like A&M. It is a certain lifestyle. LSU, Ohio State, right? You have to have the right fit, the right dude for that job to be able to take it and grow it. Ohio State is that way. Give me some names then. I mean, before we hit a break, it was funny. I'm driving in. I'm just listening to people, and they were talking about Marcus Freeman at LSU.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, not that he would go anywhere, Bob, but like you're hearing Lane Kiffin's name out there, and you have Franklin, and now Kelly, and it's like you have all these people to pick from. Who does a 4-1, or let's just keep it at LSU? Who does LSU want?
Is it too? I was going to ask this on the last question. Is it too risky to go after Joe Brady, the Bills' offensive coordinator, and try to recreate that offensive machine that they had in 2019? I guess the risk factor there, obviously never been a head coach. Then again, Ryan Day had never been a head coach in the FBS, and he's done just fine at Ohio State. At Joe Brady's young, I don't know if that's what he wants or if he wants to stay in the NFL. He's the one name that's the most interesting to me. Otherwise, you're looking at Schlegs, you're looking at Jimbo, you're looking at John Summerall. Is John Summerall a big enough name for LSU, even though I think he's done a fantastic job at Troy and Tulane?
It's very interesting when we start seeing that, because you start talking about head coaching experience, and you mentioned Ryan Day, how it worked out there. And listen, that hasn't been without bumps. Marcus Freeman, how it's worked out with Notre Dame. And people are looking at that, and they're like, well, they're remembering like the last year. They're not remembering 3 years ago when they're losing to Marshall and everybody wants to fire them. So there are going to be bumps in the road. Lincoln Riley, another example, started off great and then left and has kind of hit the skids a little bit. So there's always risk at learning on the job. And I've talked to Marcus about that. I talked to Ryan, like learning on the job in a very public way at a big time place. It's not like you're able to hide at Tulane or at Northern Illinois or something like that, where if you don't call a timeout or you make a bad call, you'll lose a game you shouldn't. It's kind of a little subtitle at the bottom of something as opposed to a headline somewhere else. All right, we're long for a break. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to dive a little more into these jobs, talk a little bit more. And I really do have a question about Brian Kelly and maybe his future moving forward. We'll get into all that with Bill Bender here coming up next on the Bobby Carpenter Show. It's NBA tip-off week. You get your bets in the game. FanDuel, it's your home for live betting. So even if you missed the start of the game, you don't ride the hot hand. FanDuel, they've got live bets on everything from who will score the next in the fourth quarter to any of those comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same game parlay. They call that an SGP for a shot at a bigger payout. However you want to play, Play now. Now it's the perfect time to join because FanDuel, they're giving new customers $300 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. So just visit FanDuel.com/bigway to sign up today. Play your game with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. Must be 21 and older and present in selected states for Kansas in affiliation with the Kansas Stars Casino, or 18 and older and present in D.C., Kentucky, or Wyoming. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issue is now withdrawable bonus bets which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Call 1-800-789-777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York. Welcome back into the Bobby Carpenter Show, and we've got our guy Bill Bender here. And you mentioned Lane Kiffin has been rumored for all these different jobs, and I brought this question. I've talked to a lot of people. Brian Kelly is 64 years old. By the way, his birthday was Saturday, so happy birthday, Brian Kelly! Went there, get smoked on Saturday night, and then you get fired the next day. So he turned 64. He went to LSU, Bill. I mean, his words, not mine or yours, to go there because he felt they were better equipped to win a championship. The guy's getting $50 million. He's coached at a lot of places. He's been in championship games. He was never able to get LSU up over, even to the doorstep of it. I don't see a job that I think that he would get that would give him that opportunity in the next 5 years. And I don't see a situation where Brian Kelly's still coaching football in his 70s. I don't think that really happens anymore with the current demands placed upon a head football coach at a big-time university.
I agree. And there is the scenario. We do all these content lists, as you know, and what if he just retires? That's fine. He's had a great coaching career. He's won 179 games at the FBS level. He's got the Division II national titles at Grand Valley State. And I think what you said about whatever job he takes, it's not a 3-year to 5-year national championship program, in my opinion. I guess you could make a run at Penn State. You could try it at Auburn. Florida, in theory, could be very good. And then if he picks up a surfboard and goes out to UCLA, that's not a 3 to 5 year national championship program. I think with the right coach, UCLA could be competitive in the Big Ten. And that's part of the problem here is whoever takes that LSU job, they could be a national championship program in 3 to 5 years. They've proven that they could do that. So I'm with you. I wouldn't be surprised if he retires. The other option, which you see coaches take, is does he become like an NFL analyst for a year? That's not the demanding job that a head coach is, but this guy's been head coach for a football team nonstop, no TV breaks for a very long time. And that's a good reason why at 64, especially after getting fired on his birthday, that he may decide to retire.
Hey, how much has NIL portal and your ability to potentially win at a place that you like living at changed the landscape of guys trying to chase jobs?
Yeah, I mean, the nature of these jobs has changed. You could say, I could sit here and tell you that, LSU is a better job than Florida and Penn State, but who's to say somebody can't step in at Arkansas, which has probably they have the worst record in the playoff era of all these openings. And if they find the right guy, could he go in there and do what Eli Drinkwitz is doing at Missouri, or what Clark Lee, who is another hot candidate, what Vanderbilt's doing? They're a fun watch, by the way. Play really good defense.
Physical, man.
Yeah, they're really good on that side of the ball. Longwell, the linebacker, had about 14 tackles over the weekend. Who's to say Arkansas can't hire somebody to do that there? Now, and I did make the joke last night. You imagine if Arkansas went after Brian Kelly and you had John Calipari and Brian Kelly on the same campus?
Oh, gosh, that'd be beautiful.
It's going straight up across the state line, man. Passing some really good duck hunting up there.
Well, you talk about someone who may even be more uncomfortable than they were at LSU, the Irishman from Boston, then going from Baton Rouge up to Fayetteville. Bill, I mean, we're getting more and more into the jungle as we go, into the forest in the middle of America. Big Suey called. I don't know if I could ever see Brian Kelly calling the Hogs. Like, I don't know if that's a thing that he could ever find a way to do.
He'd have to humble himself to be able to do that.
It would be so great. But one of the other things that came out, we're talking about these coaching openings. Texas somehow pried a victory away from Mississippi State. My goodness, they had that thing wrapped up by 17 in the fourth, but they do win the game. A little bit ugly, but they find a way. But I was more concerned, like when you hear Sark, who's been there in Texas, we would say a lot of times people would define it as a destination job. Like it's one that seems to have all the advantages, very similar to an LSU or an Ohio State or Alabama. It's got a lot. But then we hear Sark kind of leaking out, and he refuted this, but these things come from a place where there's reality based in them, that he would be interested in entertaining NFL openings. He's talking about this when they've got 4 games left in their season and they're 6-2. Like they're not out of the playoff hunt yet.
Yeah, and they have Vanderbilt coming into town this week, and Arch Manning suffered a concussion, and like you said, they really escaped Starkville on Saturday with a victory. But to me, it's a value decision, and it's kind of at the heart of what we've been talking about. There's been a great discussion of, would you rather be the head of a program like Texas where you have all the built-in advantages? You have to do NIL. You're going to have a lot of that, but you're going to have guys transfer. You're going to be expected to win national championships there. They literally have back-to-back playoff appearances. They've been in this. They were in the semifinals last year. I think they were the most talented team that Ohio State played last season, and that bared out in the NFL draft. So would you rather do that or go to the NFL, and where the job security is probably less on a year-to-year basis? But I think the pressure to get into the college football playoff is out. I think getting into the playoff, that pressure outweighs maybe year one in the NFL, as long as you're not, start out like 1-8 or something. So that's an interesting value decision. To me, the take would be you stay at Texas and try to break through, win a national title. You're going to be good. Yeah, you're going to be overanalyzed, but Ryan Day's learned how to adjust with that. Nick Saban did it for 15 years. That's what I would do. But there is a reason why, like you said, that leaked out, because it's at least been thought about.
Hey, we got about a minute. Give me one awesome hot take that you learned from this last week in college football and the games that were played.
I mean, that it wasn't like the most exciting week, and we've covered Brian Kelly here, but one take I did have was Alabama, despite playing poorly on the road, they showed some guts by coming back. Ty Simpson did not have a good day. For them to come back in the fourth quarter, and is this a bad?
Do you know about the amount of ridicule that Ohio State would get if they went to a 3-4 team and had to escape like that? And you're telling me your one golden nugget for the weekend, Richard Magnum, is the fact that they showed resiliency on the road?
What?
You of all people that live in Bloomington, Ohio, Lancaster, Ohio, on the border, and that's your one take?
Let me meet you halfway.
Please do.
If they lose that game, I know the SEC spin would have been, you just can't take a weekend off in the SEC, that kind of thing. But
they're spinning it however they want.
They'll spin it however they want. But, I thought Ty Simpson leaving that drive to get the win and all of that, I don't know if it's impressive. And then here's my other thing. I'll say we get into November. There are 30 Power 4 teams, I'm still laughing, sorry. 30 Power 4 teams, including Notre Dame, that have 2 losses or less. If you want to get on the playoff, you stay on that list. The Big Ten's got plenty of teams like that too. Interesting. You're going to hear the phrase elimination game every week from now on. USC Nebraska is one of those. And I'm wondering, Schlegs, if Jaden Mayava and Lincoln Riley and that offense can actually travel 2 time zones and go get a win. That is one of my nuggets for next weekend. Not quite as good as Alabama, South Carolina.
Final thought here for you, Bill. It was a game in the early window that was more captivating than I thought. I loved that he had the stones to go for the win. They came up, didn't love the play call, half-inch short. I mean, did Chapel Bill show enough signs of life down there to almost upsetting? I mean, I know almost doesn't count, but almost pulling the upset over Virginia.
Weren't you kind of rooting for that 2-point conversion to be good? I kind of was. I wanted to see them win, and so he has taken a lot of heat. It hasn't gone well. I'm hoping he sticks around and tries to see this through, because it's a great story. The ACC has a very wide open conference, and I thought they were going to steal that one from Virginia. But I think maybe you're seeing that a little bit, whether it's a place like there or West Virginia or even Wisconsin, they hung with Oregon. You can't say they didn't. That was a close game in the second half where maybe some of these bad teams, that tells you something about your coach. That like Luke Fickell and Bill Belichick, these guys aren't quitting on them no matter what the record is. And that's something else on the back end to watch in November.
Absolutely. Well, Bill, we appreciate the time, sir. Thank you for spending your Tuesday with us, and just enjoy. We got some more great ones. We had an unbelievable weekend last weekend and some more big ones here coming up. Even if the big noon may not be what it was supposed to be this week, there would be plenty else on that slate as well.
Yeah, I'll talk to you guys next week. We'll see which coach we're talking about next Tuesday. I appreciate it, guys, as always.
Absolutely.
Okay, Richard.
That is the great Bill Bender, the Sporting News. Go check his stuff out there. Does a great job writing for them each and every week. Buckeyes will be taking on Penn State this weekend. They kept that game at noon. Schlag, still plenty of sauce to get going and get the folks excited about with that. Also want to tell the folks about my friends over at Export Schlags. Parents, athletes, protect what matters most with Export mouthguards, trusted by professional athletes, designed by NHL team dentists. Export mouthguards are scientifically tested to absorb those high-impact hits, protecting both your teeth and your brain. Export mouthguards feature 3 layers of advanced protection, including a patented use of carbon fiber, custom fit to your own unique smile with that 3D printing. It's right to your grill. It means more protection, better performance, max comfort, and clear communication. So you can focus on your game, not on your gear. Don't take chances with your safety. Visit exportguard.com today/Bobby and save 15% on your order. Export, protect what matters most. We got a lot of stuff to dive into coming out of this weekend and a lot of stuff to look forward to. Stay locked in right here on the Bobby Carpenter Show. Welcome back into the Bobby Carpenter Show. And yes, we've got a lot of big things happened over the weekend. Obviously, I know we talked a lot about our guy, Mr. Nick Mangold, yesterday, and we'll probably talk a little bit more about him as well here today. But there's Indiana. I mean, Schlags, that UCLA went in there. They were red hot. Okay.
So hot right now.
So hot like Hansel. And they went in there and thought that they may have had a chance. Kurt Signetti just squashes dreams. Schlags. I mean, what's the one? There's some
Dream
album.
squasher. You've heard of a dream catcher. He's a dream squasher.
He is. He's the dream squasher. And even so much so, like, they've even got the governor of Florida weighing in on the situation of who's number one and what things look like. So we'll dive into that. But, Urban Meyer was over there, the big noon kick, and rightfully so. UCLA was coming in despite that they were 3-4. They were red hot. And Kurt Signetti said, since they made the change, like, they're undefeated. Look at the numbers they're putting up. And did give them some credit, but I think he also knew that if his team went in there and played well, it was going to look like that. 56-6 Schlags. They stopped the bleeding. It was 35-0 at halftime. And throw that up there, Pat, when you get a chance. Like Urban, and this was amazing. Just watching him stare. Yeah, just sizing him up. By the way, how was Urban that close to the coaching box? How did he get all the way down there on the sideline? Like, looking like
he's a former coach. He's allowed to do that. He has the badge. They're like, hey.
Does he have a badge to be in the coaching box, though? I don't think he has that badge.
Maybe he was standing on the 24-yard line. Remember, there's like you can't go past the line of demarcation where the white stops, and that's where you can't. But he was way out there, too. Like, he could have been flagged. Quinn Temple.
Quinn to keep him. There's Volt. Volt was his get back guy.
Where's Volt there to pull him back? And I love the fact he's like eyeing him up. But he said it too, man. Like Indiana is well coached.
Yeah. And
they do the fundamentals. And you look at in this game, Mendoza had the 1 interception, but they had 4 rushing touchdowns. They rushed for 262 yards. They also had a pick 6 with 2 interceptions, right? UCLA, 1 of 11 on third downs. And a team that hung 42 on Penn State, if I'm not mistaken, Bob, and has been rolling. And they go into the Rock, and they're in Bloomington, and they just get smoked. I mean, it was 35-3 at halftime. So you got this kind of Cinderella thing, right? Your coordinator with the blonde hair from Cali, Neuheisel.
Jerry Neuheisel. And Jerry's done a great job, but
He's done a great job. That's the point. And then they're just like, hey, not so fast on our watch, 56-6. Buckle up, Buttercup. It's going to get bumpy.
Well, and then here is the next best part of this is then the question becomes asked. Because if you look at Indiana, they have some terrific wins.
Yeah.
They have been dominant. I mean, the one, like some of them, Ohio, Old Dominion at the beginning, I think it was a little bit of a misnomer, like 27-14. All right, what's going on there? But then they mollywopped Illinois, who was ranked 9th.
Like they used mollywop.
Yes. And then people came, then they had the conversation like, well, are they that good? Look at Iowa when it was, a 2013 game and Mendoza runs through the back of the end zone for the safety. But, it was really a 2013 game. But that was at Iowa. You and I know how tough it is to play, Kinnick. Bill Bender, maybe he would have took that for his nugget of the week, is how the grit and toughness, just like Alabama showed over South Carolina. But then they smoked Michigan State. Or no, then they beat Oregon soundly in Eugene. And then they smoked Michigan State. And then you're coming back out like, okay, UCLA, they're the new hot bunch, the new good-looking kid in the town. And they just blast them. And it's not like they pull away and put useless touchdowns on the end. It's 35-3 at half. Like that game was buried. It was done. You could put that thing in the box and you were going to be good to go. And so then the question becomes, should they be the number one team in the country? Because people have now raised this question about Ohio State is, why is Ohio State number one? Who have they played? Who have they beaten? What does it look like? And I'm like, listen, they can only play who's on your schedule. And it's no different than A&M. They're getting credit. Well, they beat LSU. LSU isn't that good anymore. And, they beat Notre Dame, and Notre Dame's a good team, but they're not as ranked as highly as they were. I mean, Ohio State beat Texas. Texas, they've risen a little bit in the rankings. They lost 2 games. Yes. And they should have lost to Mississippi State, but they didn't. They found a way to win. But like Ohio State's taking care of their business accordingly. Like none of the games have been close. They've never been in doubt. They've looked like the number one team in the country. And this was great when you have the governor of another state who has nothing to do with the state of Ohio. Ron DeSantis comes out and he says they'll have the chance to prove their ranking, prove their, whatever's championship team. But until then, the defending champs are number one until someone beats them. I love that mentality about it. I love that the governor of Florida weighing in on it. And that's what I've told people. I listen to Desmond Howard talk. Well, the Buckeyes aren't battle tested. We don't know what they're made of. Okay, I understand it's a different season, and we probably shouldn't give credit to the year before because it's a new team, new leadership. But there are carryover. There is some carryover. There are players that carry over, from team to team, and everybody who's really playing a significant role was on the team last year as a part of it. So they experienced what that run was like and how to be a part of it. So that does matter a little bit. And they're the defending champs, Schlegs.
Yeah.
I mean, that's got to count for something in this world.
Well, I mean, it's the fact, too, like Ole Miss Ole Miss was on the field a lot, meaning Oklahoma's defense was on the field a lot in that game. But, what goes into great championship teams, Bob, right? Great defenses. And you're sitting right there with the number one defense in the country, 5.8 points per game. Granted, they were idle this week, so there's another game on there for Oklahoma. But their defense is elite. And then you've just seen the process, right? Now, again, you can't help the fact that you played a number one Texas team at the beginning of the year when both teams get to prep for that one particular game. And they were number one, and now they're like number 20, right? And barely beat Mississippi State in overtime. But it's week to week, and they have been very consistent along with Indiana, along with Texas A&M. And then you can look at their wins. It's Notre Dame, right? It's LSU on the road. Ohio State beat Illinois. They beat Texas. Both those games were at home. They went to Washington, who just had another big win, who's one of those teams that's sitting there in the Big Ten at 6-2, and what they could potentially do because they got a matchup at the end of the year with Oregon. Could be that fourth team. They've beaten good. They've done what they've needed to do.
Yep, they have.
They've also passed the eye test because of the defense specifically and the growth of Julian Sand.
Absolutely. All right, Schlegs, we're going to hit a quick break. We are long for one to tell you about our friends over at Backer Schlegs. It's the elite new fan gear that you love, bckr.com. It's cold, it's rainy, it's windy now. They've got you covered with all of that different gear. They've got the Longhorn collection. They've got the Buckeye collection. They've got a bunch of different teams there, bckr.com. Go check them out. They make great Christmas gifts, and buy it for yourself right now and to wear that stuff as the season winds down. So make sure you're fitted in stuff that looks great and feels great with all the features and functionality you are looking for. So go check out our friends over at Backer, bckr.com. They've got free shipping for you right now as well. All right, coming up next, they ruled on something that I didn't know if it was ever going to get passed or get pushed through. The NCAA is coming down with something that will be here, and the players will get a little more freedom. Up next. Welcome back in the Bobby Carpenter Show, and now it's time for our headlines brought to you by our friends over at Lake Spur Marketing, Schlegs. Lake Spur Marketing, they are the one-stop marketing shop. They do a great job for you, and they allow you to do what you do best, which is run your company. They're going to take care of the marketing, and they're not going to tell you on all the latest and greatest the tactics. They're going to shield you from that and use their tried and true methods to help you grow your business while you get to do what you want to do, which is actually run the business and run the operations. Go check them out at Lake Spur Marketing. That's lakespurmarketing.com. The proof is in their partners. Some headlines. College athletes now allowed to bet on pro sports. Nicole Auerbach reporting. All three divisions voted on it. Good idea, bad idea, no idea at all.
Oh my goodness, Bob. I think it's a personal choice, and I'm just throwing stuff in the chat, but I think it's a personal choice. Here's my thing on all things, right? We just in the timing of what transpired in the NBA, Bob, and
what are you talking about? What happened there, Schlegs?
Oh my goodness, just guys. Now I gotta go get 10 rebounds there. Hey man, I'm gonna sit out this game. I already got my points, or I didn't get enough. And I'm not going to go all into it, but here's the thing, man.
You got guys looking like you playing out there, Schlegs.
It's terrible. So the thing is this, though. There's temptations in life, regardless of sex. And
what does that have to do with it?
As soon as you start to flirt with things, as soon as you start to flirt, you start to cross over that line or inch your way up to the line. You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden you flirt with it when you should be fleeing it. And that's my – I understand it. Open it up. Let it have opportunity. Why? They're going to do it anyways. People are going to find a way. I personally, I don't like to flirt with it, so I flee it, and that's how I do it. As far as the game and the integrity of the game, then we got to the point shaving, all those different things, calls within the game from referees. It has impacted to where you can therefore go question certain things. I understand why they did it. It's up. It's open. You're a grown adult. Make your choices. It's just difficult for me to get behind something like that.
It is. I get it, Schlegs. It's a tough one. Like I said, I don't bet a lot. I know you don't bet a lot. I like going and playing some cards, and I'll go to Vegas and do some stuff. And I do fantasy football a little bit here and there, and I'll throw some stuff on some different games from time to time. But I'm not a dude that needs to have all these parlays, futures. I'll tell people what I think. I think I'm hopefully right more than I'm wrong. But, it's never been a huge part of me, but I do know that it can be an issue for other people. The thing is, everybody else can do it, so I don't know why you would restrict the college athletes. Normal college kids can do it, and you can do it in professional sports as long as you're just not betting on your own sport. So I understand why they pushed it through, because I don't know if legally they'd be able to prevent it should someone have tried to sue them.
And that's why they did it.
And so that's why they did it. And that is the headline, and we'll talk more about that as the week rolls on as well. Now we've got our tailgate talk, Schlegs, where we get to answer some of your questions and comments. We appreciate it, and we get to those coming up next. All right, Schlegs, here we go. We've got some stuff, and this one was coming at us from the last show. It said, out of all the Buckeye coverage, there is an independent media lane, and find Bobby and Anthony to be the best at being able to convey not only what is going on in the game, but also, more importantly, what's going on with the players. Their coverage provides insight that not only are they in position to speak X's and O's, and that's good stuff. Please keep it coming. And Mr. Schlegel could not possibly agree with you anymore. on the reason not to gamble. Why do I want to work as hard as I do? Simply to give my money to those who do not need it as desperately as I do. There you go. And that's it. Yeah, Buckeyes.
Buckeyes, man. You're absolutely right.
You're up to thanks, brother.
I commented on that. Hey, listen, Bob and I go on there and comment. I appreciate you guys and read all of those because that's how we get our questions.
Oh yeah,
so that was like a 5-star Google review. Good.
Yeah, absolutely. People do like the early shows. Bob, we need to. Here's one coming. Said Bob, we do need to educate you a little bit. Illinois only has to travel 2 time zones. They're not in the Eastern time zone, the Pacific. They're Central. One less time zone makes a huge difference. I didn't say they had to travel 3. I said people traveling at least 2 time zones. That's where the numbers and the stats come from. Northwestern, also in Central. Iowa in Central. Nebraska's even further west, so you're cutting down on your flight time. Some of it strikes is just sitting on that stinking plane for all that time of what it's doing to your legs, and just how an extra hour and a half can really grind on you.
Well, it's everything that goes into it. Think about it, you guys. You're going to practice, you got to have your stuff ready in the car, you get on the bus, it's the preparation. Are the guys disciplined enough to make sure they have their stuff like you are back in grade school where you lay out your outfit for the day? Have they already packed their bags? They got to do this, they got to do that. Who's taking care of their dog when they got to go on the road, or their cat if you're at Bowling Green? Or guess what? We'll just take them with us. They got to think about all those. It's all the things that go into the thing of traveling. And that's kind of the point. And then what do you do with them when you get there? And that's all predicated upon the time that you have. Like, do we keep them up? Do we get a little primer in? Do we walk around the facility, or just get like a little lather by playing some games and then locking them back in to do a really serious walkthrough? Or do we go like Ohio State did? And because we're going from east to west, we go out a day early to get acclimated and get in our normal Friday routine and stay up a little bit later to match the time zone, which I thought they did a really nice job of. All those go into it, guys. That's the why.
Yeah, so they're just trying to figure all that out, and it's not easy. But like sitting on that plane, like that's the thing that always jacks me up.
Hungry. The Hungry Bob guys. I wish you guys could see back in the day. Like he's significantly chiller now than he was 20 years ago. However, you stick an angry, hungry, tired, cramped Bob, whether it's on a bus or on an airplane, you're going to have problems. It was amazing. Great memories.
Yeah, well, we've got some great stories. Shared some of those as well yesterday. So our guy Nick Mangle was involved in some of those. Final one from Lucia Buck. Matty P looks so happy, and his connection to players is amazing. I think he will stay here for at least a few years. I think players will welcome JK. I was like, who is JK? Jim Knowles. He's a grumpy guy, but he made them successful, and they will respect that. And I don't think the players are going to come out there hating on Knowles by any stretch.
No.
But I do think they enjoy playing for Matty P to a high degree. All right, coming up, Schlegs, it's your time.
Ooh.
Parting thoughts, side nuggets, just sprayed all over the place with Anthony.
Love that.
Coming up next. All right, Schlegs, you got a couple minutes here.
Oh, I got a couple minutes.
You got 2 minutes. I say couple, 2. 4
2. All right. Well, you know what? Hey, go ahead and throw that up there. What I put in the doomajig there, Pat. You got Moss. I thought this was great. So Carnell Tate a couple weeks ago obviously had a great catch. Julian Sand hit him with a rope over two guys. You can scroll through that, and he got the number one. You got Moss, and Randy Moss sent him a pair of these gloves, and they're all watching it. And Heartline's doing it. Is like, but this is what those guys do.
Let's go, number one, the Buckeyes. You're in the house. Julian Sand throws it to the end zone, and Carnell Tate climbs over 2 balls at the University of Wisconsin. Ladies and gentlemen, look where this man takes off from.
You got Moss. And that's just fun, man. It's like when you're in that room and they're trying to, you got Moss on people in practice, and you and I have both witnessed it, Bob.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're the number one guy and you get gloves and said, you got Moss. Like, it's just great memory. And again, we know Carnell's background and everything. Just so excited for that man and the trajectory and the year that he's putting together.
Oh, it's tremendous. He is one of the best, and we are incredibly happy for him. And he was always, kind of viewed as the Robin to Batman being J.J. Smith. And I think he's kind of good with that. He realizes like all the NFL scouts see it. There's a chance like he might be the first receiver off the board in this year's
I would take
draft.
him.
You know,
I would do it.
I mean, he's 6'3". I mean, we got to beef him up a little bit. Every time I see him, I tell him to grab a sandwich. But I love that kid. He's been through a lot after losing his mom and everything that's gone on. He's an awesome human. And to watch his growth and his maturity, like there are guys where I always say, like, maybe you should stay another year. Like sometimes you need a little more maturation, not even physically, mentally, but I feel like he is really rounding into an unbelievable young man. That is it for today's show. Stay locked in here. Hopefully tomorrow for the Bobby Carpenter Show.